Carl Jung's personality theory categorizes individuals into four distinct types based on how they process information and make decisions: thinkers, feelers, sensors, and intuitors. Each type offers unique strengths and perspectives, shaping how we interact with the world around us. Understanding these types can help you unlock your true self and improve your relationships and career. Thinkers rely heavily on logic, objectivity, and structured reasoning when approaching decisions or analyzing situations. They are typically analytical, detached, and systematic, preferring to weigh evidence, test theories, and draw conclusions based on facts rather than emotions. When presented with a problem, a thinker naturally moves into a mode of evaluating the data, breaking it down into parts, and considering the most rational solution. This often gives them an edge in environments that value precision, efficiency, and fairness, such as science, engineering, law, or strategic planning. Their core motivation is to remain consistent and truthful, often placing a higher value on correctness than on tact. They may come across as blunt or impersonal, especially when discussing sensitive topics, but this isn't due to a lack of care. Instead, it's rooted in their belief that honesty and clarity ultimately serve everyone better. A thinker typically wants to fix problems, not just talk about feelings. Their focus is on what makes sense, rather than how does it feel. In conversations, they tend to zero in on inconsistencies or logical flaws and can become frustrated if discussions veer too far into emotional or subjective territory. In the workplace or within teams, thinkers are dependable for their critical analysis and problem-solving capabilities. They contribute by offering rational perspectives, anticipating potential risks, and asking tough questions that push ideas to become more coherent. They respect competence and often admire others who can hold their ground intellectually. However, they might struggle with team dynamics that rely on emotional intelligence or unspoken social cues, sometimes being perceived as cold or overly skeptical. In relationships, thinkers express love and commitment through practical actions rather than emotional expressions. They might fix things around a house, solve problems their partners mention, or provide logical solutions to emotional dilemmas. While these efforts are well-intended, their partners, especially if they are feelers, might wish for more emotional availability or verbal affection. It's not that thinkers don't care. They simply believe that being useful and trustworthy is a more meaningful demonstration of love than words or sentimentality. A major strength of the thinker is their ability to detach from emotional chaos and see a situation from a distance. This allows them to make decisions others might find too painful or complicated. On the downside, this detachment can make it difficult for them to validate others' feelings or connect on a deeper emotional level. Growth for a thinker often involves learning to appreciate the subjective experiences of others and to understand that truth and harmony are not mutually exclusive. Thinkers also tend to be self-critical, holding themselves to high internal standards. They want to be right, and when they're wrong, they may retreat inwardly, replaying events to figure out what went wrong. Their inner world can be a constant stream of evaluations and recalibrations. They respect systems, categories, and clarity, and often seek to organize their surroundings to reflect their internal structure. Feelers approach life through the lens of personal values, empathy, and emotional connection. Their decisions are guided more by what feels right in their hearts than by cold, hard logic. When faced with a dilemma, a feeler instinctively considers how people will be affected, what aligns with their values, and what will preserve harmony. They excel at reading the emotional tone of situations and instinctively adjust their behavior to maintain peace, uplift others, or soothe tension. Their emotional sensitivity allows them to form deep, meaningful relationships and often makes them the emotional anchors in their communities or workplaces. In conversation, feelers are warm, compassionate, and considerate. They tend to listen attentively, validate others' emotions, and offer support rather than solutions. Where a thinker might look for what's true or false, a feeler asks what's kind or fair on a human level. They're often trusted confidants and are sought out when someone needs to talk through personal struggles or emotional pain. Because they prioritize understanding and connection, they may avoid harsh criticism or direct confrontation, choosing instead to preserve relationships and protect feelings. However, this can sometimes lead to suppressing their own needs or avoiding necessary but difficult conversations. In group settings, feelers shine by fostering collaboration and empathy. They value inclusivity, mutual respect, and shared values. Their presence can uplift morale and create a sense of belonging. However, their desire to avoid conflict may make them hesitant to speak up if it risks upsetting someone, even when they disagree or have valuable insights to share. When teams or relationships lack emotional intelligence, a feeler may feel drained or unappreciated, especially if their emotional labor goes unnoticed. In romantic relationships, feelers tend to express love openly through affectionate words, thoughtful gestures, and emotional availability. They value emotional connection deeply and often need reassurance and affirmation to feel secure. Their sensitivity makes them attentive to their partner's emotional needs, but they may also be easily hurt by perceived coldness, criticism, or distance. If their emotional efforts are dismissed or undervalued, they can become discouraged or withdraw to protect themselves. They thrive in relationships where mutual understanding, empathy, and appreciation are present. Feelers also apply their values to broader social concerns. They are often drawn to causes that align with their sense of justice, compassion, and service. Whether advocating for the vulnerable, volunteering, or supporting community healing, they are motivated by a strong inner drive to make the world a more caring and humane place. However, their empathy can become overwhelming, especially if they overextend themselves or internalize others' emotions. Learning to set healthy boundaries without guilt is an important area of growth. Internally, feelers often experience a rich emotional world. They reflect deeply on their interactions, question whether they hurt anyone, and strive to live with integrity. This inner alignment with their values gives them strength, but it can also make them prone to guilt or self-doubt. Still, their emotional courage, capacity for compassion, and dedication to meaningful connections make them irreplaceable in a world that often undervalues kindness. Sensors interact with the world primarily through their five senses, placing great value on what is real, concrete, and tangible. They are naturally grounded in the present moment, attuned to their surroundings, and focus on facts and practical details. Rather than theorizing about possibilities or future scenarios, sensors concentrate on what is happening now and what can be directly observed or experienced. They prefer structure, routine, and clear instructions, and often excel in environments where reliability, accuracy, and hands-on work are essential. A sensor's attention to detail makes them dependable and efficient in day-to-day tasks. They're often the people who remember important facts, follow established procedures, and catch small errors that others overlook. This practical mindset also gives them a strong memory for experiences and facts, especially when those memories are tied to sensory information. Whether it's remembering how something felt, looked, or sounded, sensors draw on real-world evidence to navigate life. Their decision-making is typically based on past experiences and proven methods, rather than speculation or gut feelings. In communication, sensors tend to be clear, direct, and precise. They appreciate when others get to the point and often find abstract language or vague ideas frustrating. They prefer conversations that have a clear purpose or result, and they may not be as interested in hypothetical or philosophical discussions unless those ideas have practical applications. Because they value realism, they often find comfort in what is known and tested, and may be skeptical of new methods or in proven innovations until they see them work in practice. In the workplace, sensors are often the stabilizers, the ones who follow through, maintain order, and make sure things get done properly. They're reliable team players who work best in systems that are organized and clearly defined. They may prefer jobs that involve working with tools, systems, physical materials, or data. Jobs in fields like engineering, healthcare, mechanics, law enforcement, administration, or craftsmanship often attract sensors because they allow them to apply their strengths in precision, consistency, and attention to detail. However, they may become frustrated in chaotic or constantly changing environments where routines are not respected. In relationships, sensors show love through practical support, reliability, and presence. Rather than making grand romantic gestures, they may prefer to demonstrate their care by fixing something, showing up on time, or being consistent and responsible. They enjoy shared experiences and may find joy in doing everyday things together, like cooking, gardening, or traveling. Their preference for the familiar and routine may sometimes come across as resistance to change, especially if their partner is more spontaneous or future-focused. Although their practical nature is a major strength, sensors can struggle when they are pushed too far into abstract or theoretical thinking. They may feel overwhelmed by too many unknowns or possibilities, and might dismiss visionary ideas as unrealistic. For growth, sensors benefit from occasionally stepping outside their comfort zones to explore creativity and intuition, even if it feels uncertain. Still, their grounded perspective and appreciation for what is real and reliable serve as a vital counterbalance in a fast-changing and often unpredictable world. Intuitors experience the world primarily through patterns, possibilities, and abstract ideas rather than immediate sensory input. They are future-focused and imaginative, constantly interpreting the deeper meaning behind events and exploring what could be rather than what is. Instead of zeroing in on concrete facts or present details, Intuitors are more interested in the big picture and the connections between seemingly unrelated concepts. They naturally ask questions like, what's the deeper purpose here? Or where is this going? And are energized by innovation, vision, and discovery. Their minds are wired for insight, often jumping from idea to idea in rapid succession, making connections that others might not immediately see. While a sensor might observe what's in front of them, an intuitor sees the hidden patterns or symbolic meanings behind it. This makes them especially adept in fields that require foresight, strategy, or conceptual thinking, such as entrepreneurship, writing, design, psychology, or theoretical sciences. They often enjoy exploring abstract theories, engaging in philosophical discussions, and thinking about long-term possibilities. They are not afraid to challenge tradition or reimagine how things could be improved. In communication, intuitors may speak in metaphors or use conceptual language that reflects their internal world of ideas. They may struggle to explain themselves clearly to more concrete thinkers, especially if they're moving too quickly through abstract terrain. Their language might be seen as vague or overly complex by those who prefer straightforward facts. Conversely, they might find purely factual conversations boring or restrictive, feeling more stimulated when ideas are open-ended or symbolic. They thrive in conversations that allow exploration, creativity, and imagination. In work environments, intuitors are the visionaries, the ones proposing innovative strategies, creative solutions, and long-term planning. They may not always enjoy doing repetitive tasks or following rigid systems, especially if those systems don't allow room for new ideas. Their strength lies in initiating projects, generating original concepts, and finding new angles to old problems. However, their future orientation may make them overlook important details or lose interest once the initial idea phase is over. They often work best when paired with practical-minded people who can help execute their ideas effectively. In relationships, intuitors bring depth, curiosity, and imagination. They value intellectual stimulation and are drawn to partners who can engage in meaningful conversations about life, purpose, or possibilities. Their emotional connection is often intertwined with mental connection, and they seek relationships that grow and evolve over time. They might become restless or disengage in relationships that feel too routine or focus solely on daily tasks. They are energized by dreams and shared visions for the future, and often look for partners who support their aspirations. Although intuitors offer a powerful ability to innovate and inspire, they can struggle with staying grounded in the present. They may neglect practical responsibilities, overthink simple matters, or chase too many ideas at once. Their challenge is to balance their vision with reality, to recognize when a situation calls for action rather than reflection. Still, their ability to see beyond the obvious and imagine what's possible makes them invaluable in shaping the future and bringing depth to human understanding. Understanding Carl Jung's 4 personality types, thinkers, feelers, sensors, and intuitors, provides valuable insight into how we perceive the world and make decisions. By recognizing our own type and appreciating the differences in others, we can enhance communication, foster stronger relationships, and make more informed choices. Embracing these personality traits allows for personal growth, better teamwork, and a deeper understanding of ourselves and those around us.